Welcome to the deep dive. Pull up a chair, get comfortable, because we are about to plunge headfirst into the stack of sources you've shared with us.
Yeah, loads of stuff here. Articles, notes, research.
All giving us a real-time snapshot of what's buzzing right now and what's just around the corner in the world of tech and gadgets.
That's right. And this isn't just a list of headlines. Our mission, really, is to go through these documents, pull out the key insights, the important bits.
To help you get quickly informed about the major trending topics defining, well, the tech landscape this summer.
Absolutely. And we've got 3 big areas highlighted in these sources you sent over.
Right. Apple's major software announcements from their developer conference, which is actually happening today.
Yep. Then there's Nintendo's huge new hardware launch that just landed.
And finally, the latest whispers and reports about the next wave of flagship phones from Google and Samsung.
It's definitely a busy season for tech. So let's unpack this stack.
Let's do it, starting with Apple.
Makes sense. Today, June 9th, kicks off their Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC. And the sources, well, they're packed with rumors and reports about some pretty significant changes expected, mostly on the software side.
Significant feels like maybe an understatement. One of the boldest things rumored is Apple apparently ditching the usual version numbers for their operating systems.
Yeah, that's a big one. So instead of, say, iOS 19, the talk is we're jumping straight to iOS 26.
Same for tvOS 26 and macOS 26, which interestingly might have a name, Tahoe.
Right, Tahoe. This jump to a year-based number, 26 for 2026, effectively, it's an interesting strategic move.
How so? What's the thinking there, do you think?
Well, it could be about making the software feel more constantly current, less tied to one big update a year, more like an ongoing evolution.
Okay, it lines it more with the hardware cycles, maybe.
Exactly. Makes the whole ecosystem feel a bit more cohesive, perhaps.
And it's not just the name changing, right? There's a lot of buzz about a major visual overhaul. Sources are calling it a new Solarium interface.
Solarium, yeah. The description sounds pretty vivid, inspired by Vision OS, the headset OS. They're talking about a liquid glass look.
Liquid glass. Okay, what does that actually mean visually?
Well, the idea seems to be a more translucent, layered feel. Think windows, widgets, maybe notifications having this sort of depth and transparency, almost like frosted glass.
Interesting.
And the goal seems to be a unified, modern feel across iPhone, iPad, maybe even the Apple Watch, making jumping between devices feel smoother, more consistent with that Vision Pro aesthetic.
That consistency could be a really big plus for users. But this macOS 26 Tahoe update, it might not be for everyone.
That's the other side of it. The rumors suggest support might be dropped for several older Intel-based Macs.
Which ones?
Sources mention models from 2017, 2018, and even some from 2020.
Wow, 2020 doesn't feel that old for a Mac.
It doesn't, no. But Apple's been pushing their own silicon chips hard.
Yeah.
This could, accelerate the upgrade cycle for people still on Intel if they want the latest features and security.
Right, pushes them towards the newer hardware. Okay, what else from WWDC? I saw us think about a gaming app.
Ah, yes, another intriguing rumor. A potential dedicated gaming app. This would apparently replace the current sort of hidden game center.
So like a proper hub.
Exactly. A central place to launch games, track achievements, chat with friends, and, crucially, promote Apple Arcade across all their platforms. iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple TV.
The timing on that is pretty interesting, isn't it?
It really is. Coming just days after, a major competitor just launched a brand new console.
Right. Nintendo.
Yeah. So while Apple's not really making a dedicated console, this app could signal they want to be taken more seriously in gaming, leveraging the devices people already have.
Puts gaming front and center in their ecosystem. Makes sense. Any other little tidbits? AI, maybe?
Just a brief mention of potential AI-powered notification summaries coming to Apple Watch, sprinkling AI features around as expected.
And speaking of AI, one source compared Google's call screen to Apple's live voicemail.
Yeah.
How do they stack up?
It's a good contrast. Live voicemail, as you know, just transcribes a message live.
Right.
Google's call screen is more proactive. It uses AI to actually interact with suspected spam callers for you, asking who they are, why they're calling.
Oh, so you don't even have to pick up or listen live.
Exactly. It filters the call first, shows Google's focus on, proactive AI assistance versus Apple's more reactive approach there.
Okay, so let's zoom out on Apple. What does all this mean for you, the listener? This renaming the Liquid Glass UI, the gaming app.
Well, it's not just technical stuff. It signals a potentially really big shift in how the devices you use every day look, feel, and work.
You can change how you navigate your phone, maybe what your older computer can run.
And how you find and play games. It's the foundational layer getting a pretty significant refresh, it seems.
Okay, big stuff potentially coming from Apple. No, shifting gears completely.
To that other big launch you mentioned.
Exactly. The Nintendo Switch 2 is finally here. It launched June 5th, just a few days ago. Retail price, $449.99. The anticipation for this was huge.
Massive. And based on the reports we've seen in these sources, it seems to deliver on the key upgrades people wanted. Much more powerful processing, apparently.
Which means better graphics, smoother games.
That's the idea. Paired with a bigger, more vibrant screen so those better visuals actually, pop. It's a generational leap in raw power fans expected.
But Nintendo's never just about power, right? They always do something quirky, something different with interaction. What about the Joy-Cons?
Ah, the Joy-Con 2s. Completely reimagined, according to the sources. And here's the really interesting, maybe surprising bit.
Go on.
They can apparently be used like a mouse in compatible games.
Like a computer mouse?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. The example given was Civilization 7, which makes sense for strategy.
Wow, okay. That's different. Definitely novel for a console controller. Plus, they attach magnetically now, which sounds like a nice little improvement over the old rail.
Yeah, those could be fiddly. What about the digital side? Anything new there?
Yes, they're introducing something called virtual game cards.
Virtual game cards. What are those? It sounds like a way to manage your digital library better. The sources say it simplifies seeing all your purchased games.
Okay.
Lets you play them easily across 2 different Switch 2 systems you might own.
Handy if you have more than one in the house.
Right. And even lets you lend or borrow digital games within a family group using local wireless.
Lend digital games. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Kind of like physical cards.
Exactly. Bring some of that flexibility back. Online is still Nintendo Switch Online, but there's a new game chat feature.
Okay. Built-in voice chat.
Seems like it. It's free for everyone at first, but the sources say after March 2026, you'll need the paid online membership.
Okay. But the big draw for expansion pack members. GameCube games.
Yes, that's huge news. At launch, expansion pack subscribers get access to a growing library of GameCube classics.
Like which ones?
Sources mention F-Zero GX, Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2 fan favorites,
Yep.
apparently with improved resolution too.
Wow, that's a major nostalgia hit. That'll definitely tempt people to the expansion pack.
Absolutely. And for the purists, they're even selling a dedicated wireless GameCube controller just for those members to use with the classics.
This touch. Any standout launch games mentioned besides the classics?
Yeah, a couple noted were Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade
Okay, big third-party title.
and Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster, which apparently uses those new dual mouse controls you mentioned.
Showing off the new feature right away.
Yeah.
Now, with all this hype, any issues getting one?
Oh, totally predictable. Sources widely report supply issues, huge demand. Retailers are doing ticketing systems, limited stock.
Yeah.
The usual Nintendo launch chaos.
Classic Nintendo. So big picture for Nintendo. This launch fits into their wider strategy, right?
Definitely. Financially, sources mention FY25 saw a dip, but the forecast for FY26 with the Switch 2 is positive.
And it's not just hardware. They're doing that Zelda movie.
Right, planned for March 2027.
Yeah.
And a new Nintendo Today app. They're
Yeah.
building the brand beyond just the console.
Spanning the IP, keeping people engaged daily. Makes sense.
The Switch 2 is the core, but it's part of a bigger ecosystem play.
Okay, let's zoom back to phones. What are the sources saying about the next flagships from Google and Samsung?
Starting with Google, the Pixel 10 series is rumored for August 13th, but there might be a sneak peek sooner.
Oh.
There's this Pixel Penthouse event in London, June 27th. Sounds very exclusive, just 25 super fans invited.
And MXC.
Pre-release devices. Sources speculate maybe the Pixel 10, maybe the Pixel Watch 4.
Interesting. Getting feedback early, building hype way before August. What are we expecting in the Pixel 10 based on, say, the Pixel 9 context?
Well, the 9 was expected to have the Tensor G4 chip, strong security with the Titan M2,
Right.
varied cameras, ultra-wide with macro focus, maybe a 5x telephoto for super res zoom,
Yeah.
and those AI features like call screen we talked about.
That AI piece feels key for Google, differentiating from Apple.
Absolutely. Using AI proactively, that seems to be their angle.
Okay, shifting to Samsung, the next foldable. Z Fold 7.
Expected pretty soon, actually. Early July is the time frame mentioned in the sources.
And the big focus seems to be design refinement, making it thinner.
That's a major rumor, yeah. Potentially getting down to 8.2 millimeter folded. That's a huge difference from the Fold 6's 12.1 millimeter.
That would make it way more pocketable. What about the screens?
Slightly larger, apparently, maybe
Okay.
6.5 inches outside, 8 inches inside, and crucially aiming for a wider outer display.
Yes, that's been a big request. Less like a remote control when closed.
Exactly. Plus, expectations for a less visible crease, maybe IP48 resistance for dust and water.
Standard flagship stuff there. Performance.
Snapdragon 8 Elite is the likely chip, top tier. But the camera, that's a big rumor there.
Oh,
A potential 200 megapixel main camera,
whoa. 200 MP on a foldable. That's ambitious, like the S-Series Ultra.
potentially borrowed from the special edition S series,
Yeah.
yeah. Could make it a real camera powerhouse. S Pen expected to stick around too, maybe tweaked.
Sounds impressive.
I bet. Yeah.
There was a catch, right? Something about production.
Ah, yes. A fairly significant report suggesting Samsung might be cutting production estimates for both the Fold 7 and the Flip 7 by nearly 40%.
40%. Why?
The reason cited is that the foldable market growth just isn't meeting those earlier, really optimistic projections.
So the hype isn't translating into massive sales volume as quickly as they hoped?
Seems like it. The source specifically mentioned the need to attract new buyers, people beyond the tech enthusiasts who jumped on early.
Suggests they need to convince mainstream users that a foldable is truly better, not just different or cool, especially given the price.
Exactly. It's a bit of a dose of market reality for foldables. The tech is improving fast, but mass adoption still faces hurdles: price, durability concerns, maybe just proving the everyday value.
Okay, so looking across all this Apple software plans, Nintendo's new console, the next phones, you see some common threads, right?
Absolutely. There's that constant competition, especially Apple versus Google. Not just phones, but AI approaches like we discussed. Google seems very focused on challenging Apple, particularly with younger users, according to one source.
In gaming is another battleground. Apple, with its app strategy, Nintendo doubling down on dedicated hardware.
Right, competing for your entertainment time and money, but in very different ways.
And the devices themselves keep evolving. Foldables getting thinner, maybe better cameras. Tablets still trying to be laptops.
And consoles like the Switch 2 adding really unique interactions like that mouse control. It's all pushing the boundaries of what our tech can do and how we use it.
It really feels like things are moving incredibly fast right now across the board.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. With all this rapid change, new console generations, major phone redesigns, potential OS overhauls, more AI everywhere, how is this shifting what you actually expect from your devices every day?
And what does that mean for the tech you might choose and how you'll end up using it over the next year or so?
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the WWDC rumors at Apple
To the reality of the Nintendo Switch 2 launch.
and the latest on what's likely coming soon from Google and Samsung in the phone space.
Thanks for letting us dive into your sources and try to connect some of these dots during a really busy period in tech.
We hope this deep dive gave you some useful perspective on what's happening now and what's just around the corner.
Stay curious, and we look forward to diving into more topics with you again soon.